Okay, class, in this lesson I'm going to teach you how to calculate the percent of change. Or another way to describe this is the percent increase or the percent decrease. So before we start, let's first define this term. So a percent of change is a ratio that compares the change in quantity to the original amount. Okay, so I'm going to underline a couple of phrases here. It is a ratio, and it's also a change in quantity relative to the original amount. Okay, so what does this mean? The percent of change, okay, and change could be an increase or a decrease. Okay, so the percent of that increase or decrease is equal to the amount of change divided by the original amount. Okay, this is the key equation for all problems regarding percent of change. Okay, so let's take a look at the equation again, or the definition. So a percent of change is a ratio. Okay, this is what we have here. This is a ratio. And this ratio compares the change in quantity. Okay, so here's the change in quantity, or the amount of change. So this could be an increase or a decrease. Okay, and it's a ratio, so it's going to be relative to the original amount. That's right here. So change divided by original amount gives you the percent of change. Okay, so let's follow that up with a couple examples. Okay, in this problem, this is something you can relate to. Okay, the temperature this morning, for example, was 60 degrees Fahrenheit. By noon, the temperature rose to 84 degrees Fahrenheit. We're to find the percent of change and then state whether the percent of change is an increase or a decrease. Okay, so this word problem has two parts. So first, let's find the percent of change. We know that the percent of change is equal to amount change divided by original amount. So in this problem, our percentage change is equal to amount change, and the amount change was, it went from 60 to 84, so that amount change is 84 minus 60. Okay, and the original amount, or in this case the original temperature, was 60, so we're going to put that in the denominator. So 84 minus 60 comes out to 24, and we put that over 60. Okay, and the common factor between 24 and 60 is 12, so we're going to factor that out. 12 goes into 24 2 times, and 12 goes into 60 5 times. So we get an answer of 2/5, or if we translate that to percentage, that becomes 40%. So 40% represents the percent change, or the percent of change. That's the answer to the first part. The second part is to state whether the percent of change is an increase or a decrease. We know the temperature rose, so this percentage has to be increase. So the final answer is 40% increase. Okay, so let's try a different problem. Okay, so in this example is something that you could probably relate to. So the battery life on Sharon's iPhone showed 85% earlier today. It now reads 50%, so that's how much power is left. You are to calculate the percent of change and state whether the percent of change is an increase or a decrease. Okay, so how do we tackle this problem? Very similar to the previous problem. So we start off with the percent of change is equal to the amount of change over the original amount. Okay, so we need to calculate the percent of change. So percent of change, and we just plug in the numbers, is equal to the amount of change. It was 85, and now it's down to 50. So that difference would be 85 minus 50, and the original amount was 85, because that's what we started with. Okay, so 85 minus 50 gives us 35 over 85. And if we calculate this, this comes out to 0.4118. And if we were to translate a decimal into a percentage, this becomes 41, and we're going to round it to the nearest tenth, 41.2%. Okay, so we've calculated the percent of change to be 41.2%. So now we need to determine or state whether this is an increase or decrease. Okay, so the battery power was at 85% and it went down to 50%. So therefore, this is a decrease. So this becomes 41.2% decrease. Okay, so hopefully that was pretty straightforward. If any of this was confusing, or if you feel like you need to review this again, please go back to the beginning of the recording. Thank you.